Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear California's in a state of turmoil. And I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office?
Mel, any message from you to Governor Newsom or Karen Bass tonight?
Spend less on hair gel. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, what can I say to them? Not big admirer of either.
I don't like him either.
Newsom walked in acting like California's golden boy, calm and super sure of himself. Then Mel Gibson stepped into the spotlight and quickly flipped the mood. Gavin may have expected another political back and forth, but Gibson came out swinging, taking direct aim at his leadership and public image. This was no normal debate. It felt more like a one-sided beatdown. By the time it ended, Gibson had not just challenged Newsom, he landed a sharp blow that left a lasting mark.
We deserve much more and much better, and there is absolutely no adequate excuse the governor or mayor can make for this gross mismanagement and failure to preemptively deal with what they knew was coming.
California did not pick a governor. It picked the lead actor in a political drama called As the State Burns. Gavin Newsom often seems less focused on running the state and more focused on the show of it all. He puts on the look of a polished, steady leader, even as critics say the state faces growing problems. To them, his record reads like a lesson in driving away businesses, taxpayers, and common sense. Yet somehow, he finds time to perfect that camera-ready smile and rehearsed confidence.
And Mel Gibson had some very interesting things to say about California Governor Gavin Newsom's failure to prepare the state for these catastrophic wildfires that are ravaging LA still.
In 2019, I think Newsom said, I'm going to take care of the forests and maintain the forests and do all that kind of stuff. He didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything. And then on top of that, they cut the water off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's all funny. And then I think all our tax dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know, but it's like, it's sad. It's like the place is just on fire.
If you are loving this takedown, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. He has the stance of a superhero, the hair of a shampoo ad, and the spine of a jellyfish. Newsom is the kind of politician who could fall into a pothole on a broken street, blame the road itself, and then spend the next 20 minutes giving a slick speech about bold new fixes and fresh ideas.
How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate? It's time to take back our community and our state and put the power and the privilege in the hands of competent leaders whose goals are to protect us and the way of life this nation was founded upon and promises to offer. That's all.
That is all. Just look at the homeless crisis. California spends billions of dollars every year, yet many areas still look like the set of a dark movie where the director keeps asking for more chaos, more mess. Gavin steps in front of the cameras wearing his serious face and rolls out another slick plan that sounds a lot like the last one. But the tents are still there. The camps keep growing and parts of downtown San Francisco feel less like the neighbor of Silicon Valley and more like a scene from The Walking Dead. At the same time, businesses have been leaving California fast. Tesla moved its headquarters to Texas, while many small business owners say they are getting squeezed by high taxes and messy rules. Yet Newsom often looks shocked by the trend, as if it is hard to grasp why some folks might rethink paying steep prices, facing a high cost of living, and dealing with ongoing worries about the state's path.
Now, a lot of people have been coming out and calling out Gavin Newsom endlessly, and the biggest one of all is Mel Gibson. We all know that he is a very big, open critic of Gavin Newsom, and he continues to actually do that, and rightfully so, because we already know that there's a lot of issues going on right now within the state of California.
California's blackout problems sometimes feel like something straight out of a comedy sketch. Residents pay some of the highest power rates in the country, yet still worry about losing power when demand spikes. Freezers warm up, food spoils, and anger builds. Gavin Newsom talks about leading the charge on green energy. But critics say leaning on power from nearby states is not exactly the picture of energy freedom. For many families, it does not feel like progress. It feels like one more headache to handle. Then there is the water mess. California sits next to the Pacific Ocean and relies on snowpack from its mountains. Yet drought rules have become a normal part of life. Homeowners are told to cut back. Farmers face uncertainty, and fights continue over how water should be used. Critics say Gavin's plan leans too much on limits rather than real fixes. To them, the approach often looks reactive instead of effective. And if Mel Gibson ever decides to bring back Mad Max, some would joke he will not need a big movie set. All he would have to do is point the cameras at California and yell, "Action."
And lost his house in these wildfires.
Yeah.
And what you just saw there was an effort to recall the governor and Mayor Bass. Does his star power in this matter?
It matters in the sense we're playing it now on national television on a highly rated Fox and Friends First show, and that has gone viral on social media. And meanwhile, the same day that Mel Gibson says what he says there, and he's correct on so many things as far as the management of wildfires, Gavin Newsom's approval on the handling of the wildfires is only 30%.
Wow.
Then came the pandemic, and critics say Gavin Newsom's biggest problem was not just the lockdowns, it was the double standard. While millions of Californians canceled weddings, funerals, and family events, Newsom was caught dining at one of Napa's fanciest restaurants. In one moment, he became the face of rules for you, but not for me. Schools and public safety have not dodged criticism either. Despite being home to huge wealth and tech power, California still faces worries over failing schools and rising crime in some areas. Retail theft has become such a common problem that more everyday items now sit locked behind glass cases. Meanwhile, Gavin says things are getting better. His critics are not buying it. To them, California feels less and less like the Golden State and more like a live-action version of Grand Theft Shopping Cart.
And Governor Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass, well, they were also suggesting that LA was under control. They had it covered while, of course, LA was essentially burning. And they've been blaming Donald Trump for all the chaos in LA, while Gavin Newsom has been trying to emerge as the strong leader of the Democrats as he eyes off the presidency in 3 years' time. But actor Mel Gibson has spoken out, blasting the governor and the mayor, rightfully so, for their disastrous leadership.
For many Californians, owning a home feels out of reach, and even young workers are stuck renting with several roommates well into their 30s. Families are squeezing into smaller spaces while new housing plans get announced but rarely seem to match the size of the problem. On the national stage, Newsom shows ambition, but critics say his record does not match the image. They argue he sells California as a model for the country even as daily issues like housing, crime, and infrastructure stay unsolved in the eyes of many residents. Supporters call it progress. Critics call it spin. And somewhere in between, Californians are still waiting for fixes that feel real, not just announcements.
If I were giving the governor advice, I'd say, don't be so overt that people can see the wheels turning. The obvious question would be, well, you've been governor of California for 6 years. You were lieutenant governor for many years before that. When did you have this epiphany? Right. And the answer is when he found that the Republicans.
There is also a sense that politics in California has turned into a kind of show. Critics say Gavin Newsom often comes across more like a media star than a normal governor, with appearances and messaging that feel carefully staged while ongoing problems keep growing in the background. He is often accused of showing one image in public while facing heat over contradictions, backing climate action, while using high-emission travel for events, or talking about inequality while seen in very wealthy settings. To supporters, it is leadership. To critics, it looks like image over substance. Wildfires have also become a major issue. Each year, Californians brace for fire season as homes are lost and communities get displaced. Newsom often shows up in response, stressing recovery efforts and climate causes. While critics say prevention and infrastructure upgrades have not kept pace with the size of the crisis, for many residents, the frustration is not just the disasters themselves, but the feeling that long-term fixes are still lagging behind.
We have to do a better job. We need competent, good governance. Now, that doesn't mean you can't criticize the governor of California for, I think, some very bad decisions over a very long period of time. I mean, some of these reservoirs have been dry for 15, 20 years. The fire hydrants are being reported as going dry while the firefighters are trying to.
California's budget tells a similar story. The state collects huge revenue through some of the highest taxes in the country, yet still faces ongoing budget gaps. Critics say money is often announced in big surplus headlines only for the numbers to shift or vanish into messy spending plans that are hard to track. Meanwhile, many public systems like roads, schools, and safety services keep facing pressure and weak results. On the green side, Gavin has pushed big goals like phasing out gas-powered cars by 2035. Supporters call it forward thinking, but critics question how realistic it is when the current power grid already strains during peak demand. The gap between long-term climate goals and present-day infrastructure issues is a repeated point of debate. Red tape is another common gripe. Building projects often crawl through long approval steps involving permits, fees, and zoning rules, which many say slows down housing growth and drives up costs. To critics, this builds a system where fixing the housing crisis becomes harder than the crisis itself. For supporters, these are needed protections and reforms, For critics, they are signs of a system too slow to keep up with reality.
And look at Gavin Newsom. He tried to do this, was it a radio show, a podcast, whatever he tried to do. Now he's busy trolling on social media, and it's cringe, it's falling flat. I'm sure they'll come after me now, who cares? Because Donald Trump is one of one. Only he can do what he's done with social media, with podcasts, in the way he's done it. 900 rallies and counting.
Gas prices are another common problem. Californians often pay more at the pump than most of the country, while states like Texas see much lower costs. Critics say it is not just oil prices, but also taxes and rules that add to the burden. While supporters point to wider energy and green policies, there has also been a steady outflow of people and businesses leaving the state for places like Texas, Florida, and Arizona, often naming cost of living and red tape as main reasons. Even a high-profile recall push showed deep political division, though the governor still kept his seat. On public safety, retail theft and organized shoplifting have become a big worry in some areas, with many stores reacting by locking up everyday items or shutting locations completely. Officials often point to policy shifts and enforcement gaps, while critics say the response has not gone far enough. Despite all of this, Gavin keeps presenting himself as a national figure. Supporters see drive and leadership. Critics see a gap between the image and the reality on the ground.
We see a lot of the cities that you can't conceal carry, or it's extremely hard to get concealed carry, or California being one of them, Illinois, New York. I mean, do you think that everyday citizens carrying it reduces crime or increases crime?
I think the evidence suggests the opposite. It increases the likelihood of death.
The biggest irony, critics say, is California's climate leadership story. While the state pushes strong green policies, wildfire seasons keep creating huge emissions and wide destruction. Supporters frame the policies as long-term fixes, but critics say the immediate results show a messier story. More broadly, Newsom is often described by foes as more focused on image than action. Each crisis becomes a public moment with slick messaging and camera-ready appearances, while daily problems like housing costs, homelessness, and infrastructure keep dominating local concerns. To his fans, he is a modern leader handling tough challenges. To his critics, he is a political performer working in a state where reality is getting harder to ignore.
He plays this slick little game of words. He doesn't say crime goes up. He says deaths go up. Why? Because that phrasing triggers your brain into thinking are the problem. But let's break that down. If you've got more in one state than the other, obviously the number of deaths involved is going to be higher in that state. That doesn't mean it's more dangerous. It just means the tools used are different. You know where the death rate is low?
In the end, Gavin Newsom is often described by critics less as a true leader and more as a symbol of California's wider political fight. A state once known for opportunity and growth is now often talked about in terms of high costs, infrastructure problems, and ongoing public anger. Supporters see a governor handling complex long-term issues. Critics see a focus on image and messaging where California's problems are seen, but not always solved at the speed people expect. Despite the criticism, Newsom keeps presenting himself as a national figure with goals beyond the state. But for many observers, the gap between the public image and the day-to-day reality in California is what defines his legacy debate. Whether history sees him as a reformer or a symbol of core management remains part of an ongoing political split. If you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe and join Woke Hub. Don't miss the next one.